Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with today's trading action. Now, just having a look at what the markets have done during the North American session in particular. Now, you had a bunch of numbers here. They're all pretty as expected or a little bit weaker. Now, there's one number here that has been attributed to sort of giving the dollar a bit of a bounce. It's the import prices, right? So the import prices are up 0.9% versus 0.3% expected. Now, is that going to really push things around? I don't think so. Right. I've been doing this a long time and they can attribute the move. Now, the media, right, they've got a job. They've got to make something fit the story. So when you look at the move here, the dollar has bounced off its lows, but you know what? It's come a long way on the week. To me, this is a bit of squaring up ahead of the end of the week. There is no major numbers coming out today. So it would be a good time to sort of square up. I mean, import prices, give me a break, right? There's more things, more important things than that. And if you have a look at the numbers, right, this is where you would come back. Like the move, as I said, might be just some of the big fund managers taking some cash off the table. The Philly Fed Manufacturing Index came out at 4.5 versus 8. That's weaker. Industrial production, weaker. Housing starts, well, they had a little bit of a bounce from the previous number, but lower overall. Export prices were slightly up. Building permits still crap, and so there's not a lot of good stuff in here. So what they'll do is they will attribute a move to what's happening in the market. Now, while I'm on this page, just give you a bit of a quick run through. Right, don't expect too much today. We've got if you're in the Australasian session, check out the Chinese numbers. Right, very important for Aussie and Kiwi in particular. That could, provide us with some sort of short-term momentum at the very least. You come into the European session, you got Bank of England's man speaking, the final numbers of inflation, that usually is close to the mark. And then you got some housing numbers there out of Canada, and that's all she wrote. So there's not a lot to really invest in. I wouldn't be spending too much time in front of the screens today. Have a look at the Chinese numbers. That's probably it. Right, because the markets we've had a solid week, right, and this is like a game of sport. Traders at the institutions, after a week where it's been a bit hectic, things are moving around, you're making decisions. By the end of the week, you're exhausted mentally, and you're happy just to let the markets just peter out. So that's where we are at the moment, right? It's just okay. The tail end of the week. If you're trading aggressively today, I'd say you've had a bad week, and you're trying to make some cash before the end of the week. That's it, right? And that can usually end in tears. Right off the get-go, US equity futures down. Okay, so you'd expect that to maybe put some downward pressure on Euro, Sterling, Aussie, Kiwi. We'll see how it plays out. The clocks have only recently reset after we went through the 5 p.m. New York. So check that out. But on the major charts, like on the majors, right, if I just sort of spread a bit of these out a bit, okay, this is just a little bit of a relief rally. If anything, I'm quite enthused by the moves because we do have trend lines. The dollar is I think, going through a new transition here. And like you can see here on dollar Swiss, we've got some new levels here to be selling at, and it's rallied nicely back to resistance, right? And you'd expect this to fall away. So, and on that, just to sort of finish, the key is, do you sell here or do you let it have a little pop up and then come back down? If you want to try and get both sides of it, probably half the trade size at the resistance line and then half on a false break above that resistance line. That's the sort of things I'm looking for. That's the real trade, right? Trading the economic numbers can be a bit of fun. You can get some cash, but the real trade is when these instruments start to move on their own, once all the fundamentals are factored in, right? That's where the real gravy is. That's where your bigger cash is. All right, guys, that's it for me. It's been an interesting week. We've got an action-packed week next week. If you haven't already checked the calendar, there's loads of data coming out. We have got a bunch of live trading sessions scheduled for the if I just bring the calendar across, for the Canadian inflation numbers, UK inflation, and you got UK retail sales. So really, sterling next week is going to have a really solid week. I'm looking forward to ripping into it. All right, guys, have a good one. All the best. Cheerio.